18 or 17 and a half years, I worked for NatWest. Many of you will know NatWest, and for the previous 6 or 7 years, for that I was with Lloyds. And I worked with businesses right from startups. So from businesses that have just come up with a brand new idea, just getting off the ground, right through to corporate and commercial size businesses. So a whole mix, a whole plethora. And in that time, there wasn't many situations that I didn't experience. I worked through COVID and when businesses were in distress. And for me, the most exciting part about working in the entrepreneurship sector for the last 8 years of my career was the most fun, because I worked in our accelerator team, and that was taking businesses in an incubation scenario where they were quite new or they were showing signs of really fast growth. And I was mentoring and coaching and supporting and helping them to grow. And when you do that, you feel like you're partnering with the business. So you feel like you're in the trench with them. You feel, to use an analogy, like you're down in the dirt with them and you're helping them. So you get great experience. And then last April, my role across the country and everybody who worked in my team, in the entrepreneurship team, was made redundant. So it's a massive shock when you work somewhere for 17 years and you love your job. So I then started my own business. So it's just come up 6 months. I've been running my own business, which gets me stood in front of you wonderful people today. And back in 2016, I pioneered an inspirational local business networking event called Boost. And hence the reason, Boost Your Business. At the time, it was called NatWest Boost. And I started with 7 people in a room. And that whole idea was to bring business owners together to get them the opportunity to mix with other business owners. And then get a really good speaker to come in and share their story. And it grew and it grew and it grew. And at the time of standing here with you today, I've had 8,000 people book. Since then, I now mentor and coach many businesses. I work with businesses as a non-executive director. I speak publicly, which is why I'm here with you today. And I've started a podcast. Don't ask me how that happened. That opportunity came to me in a very unexpected manner through Radio X. If anybody listens to Radio X, it's the only independent radio station in the country, based here in Exeter. And they said, would you come and do a business podcast for us? We haven't got a business one. I said, I'd love to. So more about that later. And I work at the Exeter Chamber of Commerce as a director on the board. So representing and supporting businesses locally. So whole range of experience. And I want to talk to us today about how you build your mindset and how that leads to growing resilience. Because if one thing I have learned in the last 24 years of working with business owners of all different shapes and sizes, right to the corporate boardrooms, is that you need to have resilience. But it doesn't just come. You don't just wake up one day and think, oh, I'm resilient today. And you have to learn to develop your mindset, especially when you're running your own business. However, the challenge I've got for everybody listening and for you guys in front of me is that this applies whether you are employed, whether you're a student, whether you are a pizza delivery person, whether you are someone collecting bins, whether you clean toilets. Your mindset and how you approach problems, how you approach issues can be relatable right the way through. And in 2016, when I joined the entrepreneurship team at NatWest, I'd never heard of mindset stuff. No one had ever taught me about this kind of these skills and everything like that. And I remember there being like a light come on the inside. I can actually remember tears coming down my cheeks when I heard this for the first time, because it spoke so deeply to me and it awakened the side to me that I didn't know was there, that needed to be developed and worked on. It's kind of like going to the gym. You don't just wake up one day and have a great physique. You have to work on it, and it's the same with our minds. And that applies right the way through your course, and especially if you're going to go into the world of business, and especially if you're going to run your own business, let me tell you. So I want today to be interactive, and I want today to. I'm not here to catch anyone out. So when I talk about mindset, what does mindset mean to you? I just want you to shut your eyes for me just for 1 second. Just everybody, and if you're online, you can just shut your eyes online. Bear with me. And I'm just going to come around and tap one of you on the shoulder and get you to come and present your dreams and goals to the group and what it is that you want in the future. And online, I'm going to get Bex to pick somebody out online. Then we'll dial off. Are you ready? Okay, if you'd like to open your eyes. The person who I tapped on the shoulder and the person who we asked to line up to get themselves ready, I didn't tap anybody. I wouldn't be that mean. But how did it make you feel at the thought of having to stand at the front here and present?
Nervous.
Nervous, terrified, scared. I did this once at Bristol University, sort of coming out the back end of the pandemic, and I was delivering the talk online to about 120 students from across the faculty, and about 20 dialed off. And they never came back, so I hope we still got everyone online bets.
Yeah.
Forgive. So forgive me. So mindset, what does mindset mean to us? Where do we even come from that? Has anybody in the room heard of Carol Dweck? Okay, first piece of homework, Milling University, you're used to homework, or used to doing work, write down Carol Dweck or take a note of Carol Dweck's name. And your piece of homework today is to listen to her TED Talk or buy her book or go online and find some information about her. Carol Dweck is a professor from Stanford University in America. And about 30 years ago, she got into the whole world of something called growth mindset and fixed mindset. Has anybody heard of growth mindset? Yeah. This is who it came from, Carol Dweck. And she did a study, and it was amongst 10-year-olds actually, and they were doing a test, and they gave the children the grade result, not yet. They didn't give them pass or fail, and they studied the difference that made on the mindset. Some children couldn't cope with it. They just couldn't handle not being given a grade, they passed or not. Some children admitted that they would cheat if they didn't get the grade that they wanted. And some kids just couldn't cope with not passing it. Some kids, when they didn't pass it, had the mindset of, well, I learned a lot from that actually. That taught me a lot about myself. So she started to realise that, and this is her words, for decades I've been studying why some people succeed, but other people who are equally talented do not. Isn't that just really interesting? For just a moment, just stay on that line. People who are equally talented do not. We've all seen probably a good example of that in sport, where you see somebody who's so talented, yet they'll get to the final, or they'll get to the latter stages of the competition. The Olympics is a big one, and they'll falter because they just can't cope with the pressure, or they just, in their mind, the thought of failure is too big. So it makes them just lose their focus and their control. And then she said, over the years, I've discovered that people's mindset plays a crucial part in this process. And she also talked about when you view something new, something different, a subject, situation, and many of us can relate to that right now in our lives. I'm not going to ask anybody to share anything personal, but everyone in here will have a challenge right now, whether that's something quietly on the inside of you, whether that's something in your family, in your personal life, at work, at business, what you're doing in your studies that you're struggling with. And she talked about seeing them as an opportunity and finding it exciting rather than threatening. So rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to show just how bad I am at this or how weak I am in this area, you view it as a chance to grow and a chance to develop. Is everybody kind of on board with me here? Yeah, I've got lots of nods. We've got lots of nods online. I hope this is not boring you. So she came up with fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And there's two different mindsets. that we have at any given time in any situation. So I kind of want to unpack some of that with us this morning and figure out what that means for us, where we're at individually, and how that's going to enable us to grow and to develop. So, fixed mindset. Can anybody in the room want to shout at me? And that's anyone online wants to join in here too, please let me know. What does fixed mindset mean to you when I say that? If I say to you, you've got a fixed mindset on this, what would that mean? Shall I kick off with an example to just get us going? Has anybody ever said, now I know you're all uni students and you're all super duperly clever, right? But has anybody ever said, I'm just no good at maths? Has anyone ever said that? Or I'm just no good at, yeah? ICT. Yeah. I'm just no good at ICT. What's your subject? Or something that you find really, I'm just no good at that. Statistics. I can kind of relate to that. Yeah. Even though I worked in banking for 20 years, maths was never my thing. Analytics. Yeah. You don't wake up in the morning and think, "Woo, come on, I'm going to do some analytics today. This is really, really easy stuff." No. I used to have a little joke. I used to say, when God was handing out DIY skills, I was at the back of the queue. That was my little joke. So I always used to say, I am just no good at DIY. I'm just absolutely no good at it. Fixed mindset is when you have the mindset that your ability determines everything. So wherever you, if you're listening to me online, if you sat in front of me today, that you are either good at it or you're not. Okay, so statistics, I'm either good at statistics or I'm not. I'm either good at maths or I'm not. And you end up pigeonholing yourself in your mind. And in many different situations, like me with the whole DIY stuff, I'm just no good at it. It's just not my thing. And has anybody ever heard anybody in their family say, oh, she was a born leader, she was always been good at sports, oh, she's the sporty one, or he's the sporty one, or he's the active, and you get pigeonholed even by your families, right? And you tend to follow that through in our lives, and that your skills are born. So you're born with your skills. So what you're good at right now, what comes naturally to you, what you are, how do I say this, what you're blessed with, that's born. You're born with those skills, and that's it. And that's your lot. And you either learn to be really, really good at them, or forget statistics because that's not your field. So don't worry about that. Go and be what you're good at. It's also backed up by the fact that having a fixed mindset means that people don't want to look bad. One of the things that Dweck and her team found out was that children that really struggled with this whole area of the test results scenario, or failing or getting something wrong or not being good at something, was I just don't want to look bad. I come from a family of achievers, and I'm in a year group at uni where everyone's just so insanely brilliant. I just don't want to look bad if I get it wrong. Can anybody relate? Having felt like that, thinking like that, and getting lots of nods. And the biggest thing that underpins having a fixed mindset is being scared of failing. You know, we come from different cultures as well, from all around the world, where failure is a bad thing. It's about a shame. But I want to kind of stir that up today and say that actually failure is a good thing. Fail is spelled as an acronym, first attempt in learning. I've got that on my desk at home. Failure spelled, or fail spelled first attempt in learning. It's actually something to embrace. It's actually something to not be scared of. It's actually something to embrace, because that's how we grow. That's how we learn. We get stuff wrong. That's how we learn. So that's having a fixed mindset. What it kind of says to us is that we're not in control. So any given situation, anything that happens to us, anything that kind of we find ourselves in the middle of, we're not in control of that situation. that situation is that we're either good in that moment or we're not good in that moment. We just have to kind of get through it. So if you think about running your own business for a second, and if you think about a situation, we talked about wearing lots of different hats when you run your own business. And I've been self-employed now. I've been founder of my own company now for 6 months. I'm still here. I've got some lovely clients, and for the last 4 events that I've run, we've had over 100 people per event. I have learned that I am wearing lots of different hats. I am all the departments all at once. I am the finance department, I am the marketing department, I am the customer relations department, I am the statistics department, and I have to do everything. And you have to learn that you have to try things and be comfortable with failure. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Now, flip that coin to growth mindset. Does anybody kind of want to give me how they would define what a growth mindset is? I love it. Perfect. When you see challenges as an opportunity to grow, absolutely fantastic. Couldn't put it any better. Making most of the opportunities to come our way. Is there anything online? Bex, anybody saying anything online? Okay. Feel free to jump in, people online. I don't need to feel not part of this. So, some of the key attributes about developing and growing a growth mindset. And bear in mind, everybody who's listening to my voice, this is every situation in life. This is not just business. This is maybe where you're at on your course right now. Or maybe a situation personally that you needed to hear this today, and I hope this encourages you, that when I'm a growth mindset is when I'm frustrated, I persevere. Everybody remember the footballer, the famous footballer, he's pretty much a global icon, and one of my heroes, David Beckham. Yeah, everybody knows David Beckham. What was he famous for when he played football? His free kick. Yeah, his free kick. Absolutely, he was famous for it. He had to learn to develop a growth mindset with that free kick. I can tell you why. His dad used to give him 50p when he was a young lad every time he hit the crossbar. And he would go after training. When training had finished, he'd take a huge bag of balls. Back in those days, he'd have a ghetto blaster, which he'd take down, press play, and he would just practice taking kick after kick after kick over and over again and into the top corner of the goal. So he wasn't just, he was born as a talented footballer, yes he did, but he had to learn how to hone and develop that skill over and over. And when he was frustrated, he learned to persevere. Having a growth mindset means that your effort and your attitude determine everything. It's not just about the fact that you're either good at statistics or you're not. You have to learn to develop that skill. Think, no, actually, like the DIY scenario, and this is how I started to teach myself. No, why can't I be good at this? Why can't I learn to develop the skills that I need to grow and develop in this area? And let me tell you this, when you own your own business, and one day you're going to, you will remember this, and you'll remember those moments when you think, right, I just need to just set myself now and think, well, I might not be very good at this, I'm not sure how to do it, but I'm going to find a way. And I'm going to find out how. So that might be you need to bring someone in, or you have to learn it. I had to learn how to develop my Canvas skills when I started my own business. This is my own slides. I did these all myself. I sat down with a friend, thought, right, I've got to nail being able to learn how to use Canva. And I just adapted and chose to have a growth mindset rather than chose to think, I'm just not very good at these kind of things. I could see in my head what I wanted to do and I had to learn how to do it. So I didn't wake up and think, right, I'm just no good at Canva because I'm not that good at those techie things. I had to learn how to grow in it. And it will be the same with the family business. You will have to learn to develop and grow a growth mindset because you won't know everything. When I fail, I learn. I want everybody to remember that. Not when I fail, I'm a failure, or when I fail, I'm no good, or when I fail, I'm not intelligent. When I fail, I learn. This is actually teaching me a lesson to grow and to develop. For me, one of the key areas that unlock this whole fixed mindset versus growth mindset, building resilience into what we do and how we think, is self-awareness. If you are not aware, you won't be able to grow into this. You have to be aware that I need to learn to grow in this area. And that might be you need to be a better listener. It could be lots of different skills. It could be that you need to have a better attitude. I don't know. But if you're aware of your issues and your problems and where you need to get better, it could be that you hate public speaking, but when you're running your own business, you're going to have to learn to do some public speaking. So you've got to learn some skills to help you get through that. It's kind of comes to the point that you made a moment ago. You can change through effort, application, and experience. A little exercise to do. If we have more time, I'll get you to set up into groups and have a look at this. Something called the ORBED model. And it's above the line and below the line. And we will all have days, moments in our lives where we're either above the line or we're below the line. So either we think in those different situations, right, I'm not sure I use this piece of tech or this equipment, or I've faced with a problem in my business, how do I approach it? Or I've made a mistake, how do I put it right? Do I take ownership of that? See possibilities, own it and find better ways, or do I think I'm down here, I see the problems, I find faults, and we will at some point in our lives, and will this week, and will maybe even today, sometimes be above the line and below the line. The key is to know when we're in that to get ourselves back above the line. So either the victor, we take ownership of stuff, we take accountability, or with the victim, we can blame, make excuses, and we can even be in a worse place, in my opinion, that's in denial. Is everybody kind of on board? I'm not sending you to sleep. That's good. So, getting comfortable with failure. I want to use just a couple of sports scenarios here to bring this life. Anybody heard or know of Michael Jordan? Yeah, probably the most famous basketball player in history. Yeah, Kobe was incredible, and lots of different other players, but Michael Jordan is the one that sticks out. And if you've seen his documentary about him on Netflix, watch it. It's fantastic. And if you Google his successes, they're incredible. They are off the charts. His honours and what he's won. And you would think it's all about winning for him, wouldn't you? Because he's a winner. Because there's nobody in history been better than him. But this is what he said about failure. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games, 26 times. That's yourself, 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and miss. Wow. I've failed over and over again, but that's why I succeed. It's mindset around being comfortable with getting it wrong, learning from those failures, what went wrong, and turning it into, okay, let's not do this again next time. What can I learn from this? What didn't go right? What can go better next time? Or we can let it crush us. We can let it make us feel that we're weak, we're not good at it. I'm not going to ever try that again because last time I messed it up. You've got to learn to become comfortable with failure. Just want to show you a little video from probably the most famous tennis player and decorated tennis player in history, Roger Federer, and his thoughts on this growth mindset.
In tennis, perfection is impossible. In the 1,526 singles matches I played in my career, I won almost 80% of those matches. Now, I have a question for you. What percentage of points do you think I won those matches? Only 54%. In other words, even top-ranked tennis players win barely more than half of the points they play. When you lose every second point on average, you learn not to dwell on every shot. You teach yourself to think, okay, I double faulted, it's only a point. Okay, I came to the net and I got passed again, it's only a point. Even a great shot, an overhead backhand smash that ends up on ESPN's top 10 playlist, that too is just a point. So here's why I'm telling you this. When you're playing a point, it has to be the most important thing in the world, and it is. But when it's behind you, it's behind you. This mindset is really crucial because it frees you to fully commit to the next point and the next point after that, with intensity, clarity, and focus. The truth is, whatever game you play in life, sometimes you're going to lose. A point, a match, a season, a job. It's a roller coaster with many ups and downs. And it's natural when you're down to doubt yourself and to feel sorry for yourself. And by the way, your opponents have self-doubt too. Don't ever forget that. But negative energy is wasted energy. You want to become a master at overcoming hard moments. That is, to me, the sign of a champion. The best in the world are not the best because they win every point. It's because they know they'll lose again and again and have learned how to deal with it. You accept it, cry it out if you need to, and then force a smile. You move on, be relentless, adapt and grow, work harder, work smarter. Remember, work smarter.
Any thoughts? Go on. Yeah. Go on.
And just go forward, push forward, think about the next goal, and see that as a lesson to grow. Okay, yeah, I missed, but now I know how to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're talking about not dwelling on those things, and we're talking about learning quickly and moving on. I used to play a lot of cricket when I was growing up. A lot of cricket. And I wasn't taught about this stuff then, and I used to be so hard on myself when I played a bad shot. And it bugged me for hours after the game, or even weeks or days afterwards. Whereas one thing you realise about top players, they forget about it instantly. They're straight into the next shot. It's gone. And I think we have to be like that in life. We have to be like that in business. That doesn't mean that we don't learn from those things or take the lessons, but we don't dwell on them. And that's one of the bits here about having that growth mindset, is that we don't dwell on it. And I kind of also want to bring up the fact that this is a spectrum, everybody. This is not something where you walk around in every situation in life trying to have a growth mindset. Because guess what? Here's two examples I put in here. If it's your favourite hobby and it's something you're really great at, I don't know, something that I really enjoy, cooking. I love cooking. For me, that's something I enjoy. Public speaking, I'm comfortable with it. But so I have my mindset on that. I don't need to keep thinking I've got to have a growth mindset because I'm okay at those things. So if you're really, really great at maths and really, really great at statistics, it's okay to have a fixed mindset because it's already something you're really good at. But there'll be those areas like attending networking on your own, or going to an event or standing in the front where it is completely fixed for you because it's just like, oh, how am I going to do this? And that's the areas where you've got to learn to develop and to grow. So I'm not saying that you leave here today thinking I've got to go around in every situation I face, I have to have a growth mindset. Because guess what? We've got those cool skills. You're really great at stuff. You are talented. You are good at what you do. But we have to have that mindset in to become more rounded, to become better at what we do, and just, I think, really grow, especially in business. But it applies to everything in life, like the DIY scenario. I'm actually really quite good at DIY now. I'm not scared of it. That's the most important thing. I've taught myself to have a growth mindset. To think, right, how am I going to do this? What's actually going to go wrong? And if it does go wrong, what am I going to learn? And how will I do it again? And then you grow into almost like you grow into a new set of skin. You teach yourself to grow, and then you look back and you think, crumbs, how far have I actually developed? Rather than leaving that situation alone because I wasn't born with those skills or I'm just no good at that. No, you can. And when you are running your own business, you do have to learn to develop skills. You do have to learn to take stuff on because there's no one else to do it. It's just you. And that's kind of what I want to get across. It is a spectrum. I also want to remember something as well today. There was a situation, to bring this to life for you, in the pandemic when I was helping my young daughter with a school task because it was homeschooling, and I don't recommend that for anybody. And she's called Bella, and I remember saying to her, "Look, Bella," she was only 6 or 7 at the time. I said, "Sweetheart, I just can't do it. I just can't. Daddy just can't do it. I'm no good at it." And she took my hand. I'd say the hand, it was him. And she said to me, "Daddy, you just can't do it yet." The power of yet. I want you to remember that. And I'm not just talking about woo-woo out there, crazy thinking and power of positive thought. This is real stuff. The power of yet. Dweck in that test scenario, when she developed this in the early days, gave the children the grade not yet. And it completely changed how they approach problems, how they approach different scenarios. So I want you to remember today, I can't do it yet. Think about Roger Federer. There'll be those times when you fail over and over again, you lose points. But as you rightly said, it's how we get that out of our minds and move forward. And how we think about, okay, I just can't do this yet. Like me with Canva. I wasn't able to do it yet, but now I can. I also want you to think about something called S plus R equals O. And that stands for this. Situation, whatever situation you may find yourself in at a given moment in time, plus your response equals the outcome. So how we respond in different situations depends on the outcome. So we might be faced with a situation, we respond badly. And normally that will give us a bad outcome. It could be something we get really impatient with. It could be, for instance, failing a driving test. We could use that, and that often is a great example to use for people. I use this in college a lot, and I use this with people just maybe in the driving test scenario, and they put their hand up and say, "Yeah, I haven't bothered to go back to my lessons for a while because I just felt like such a failure." But how you respond in that situation, think, okay, I've messed that up, or I can do better next time. What can I learn? How do I go again? Can often depend what the outcome is. So we need to use that to be able to learn, to develop, and to grow. Hugely, hugely important. So I just want to kind of bring into land, just on reminding us of the key points that I want to leave you with today. And they are, it takes time to develop a growth mindset. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to come out and look as amazing as you want to look after one session. It takes several times. It takes discipline, going to the gym over and over again. But you do need to step out of your comfort zone and learn to grow. Self-awareness is key. If you're not self-aware, forget it. Game over. That's one of the biggest keys to unlock this. You've got to be willing to look at yourself and say, am I aware? The power of yet. We just talked about that. What language are you using in different situations? Are you using positive language in these situations? Are you speaking negativity into what you're doing? Are you saying negative things the whole time? Are you using positive language, positive way of approaching a scenario or situation? And building resilience, which is what we're talking about, is the process. Don't forget that. It's not something that you just happens overnight. It takes time to build. And don't forget that failure is your friend. My challenge to you today is to think about, if you've never looked at this before, if you've never thought about this before, is to think about, maybe you're listening to my voice And there's a whole area of your life, your skills, of part of your future that you are going to grow into. And we're always growing into our future, right? And growing new abilities. Is that this could actually unlock some of your potential. I really do believe that there's different people here today, and you're listening to this, first time you've heard it, and you're thinking, I need to start to do this more often, to think about how I develop a growth mindset. And what it's going to actually do for you is unlock a whole world of untapped potential. I never had a clue. If you said to me 5-10 years ago that I'd be running my own business, I would have been absolutely terrified. I had such a completely fixed mindset. I worked in a big job in a bank, and that wasn't a bad thing. But I was completely fixed. I was scared of trying anything new. I was scared of failure. And then I got a new job within the bank because I was made redundant, and I was put into told to create a brand new role where I had to go and do public speaking, social media. I had to run events. I've never run an event in my life. I remember looking at the job spec and thinking, how the hell am I going to do that? And then I sat in that talk about having a growth mindset. I thought, okay, I have to live this. It's not just theory. I have to bring this to life. And here I am talking to you today, an ambassador for that whole way of thinking. And I'll leave you with this slide. Where are you going to choose to be? Because if you stay in the comfort zone, that's okay. But outside of your comfort zone is where the magic happens. Is there any questions? Go for it.
Doing internship, and diversifying my subjects I'm studying. So like I'm starting to build and I'm using it day to day. But I often find that I don't then like celebrate what I've actually achieved or how far like I've actually come. So I was going to be writing advice on actually is it okay to step back at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple of things there. Number one, an easy win. An easy win, that sounds a bit crass. A good win for you might be some journaling, some reflection. For me, one of the things, I worked with a business who was based in London, and during the Olympic Games, they had different times of the day where they had to stagger how the workforce came into work. And they found out through that by accident that some people actually were better when they worked from 11. Some people were better when they worked later in the afternoon, they were more productive. And some people in the evening. I have found for me personally that reflective time, that time where I'm better, letting things sit with a cup of coffee and notepad, it's early in the morning. It is that first part of the day. Some people were like, no, that's my best part of the day, banging up the work. I think find those moments and those times when you're able to look back, to reflect over time, and think about how you have grown, what skills you've grown, what you've developed. And it only is genuinely through the passage of time when you can do that. Ask for feedback. I would say get a mentor, plug into a good mentor or a coach. I would say that, wouldn't I? Because that's what I do for a living. But one of the things I found with business owners is they're so busy working in the business, they don't always get the time to think about working on the business or their strategy or what's going on in their head. And I get to sit down with people, and I'm doing that tomorrow and next day, think about, well, what are your goals, what are your plans, what have you learned so far? And when you're coaching, you're able to look back and plot the progress, and you do see how people grow and how they develop. So I think about that, being just maybe writing some stuff down, reflecting, having a coach or mentor that can plug in, and just reminding yourself about those areas. That's really, really important. That's a great question. Anybody else? Don't have to think of the question. Thank you. And go for it. That's my message to you. Don't hold back. If you want to listen to my podcast that I've done, this is my most recent one with Zakia Sharmali. She is an international makeup artist. She's in her mid-20s and she's got, I don't know, 23,000 Instagram followers or something, based in London, works all over the world, work with famous celebrity actors and everything. She's doing really great stuff. It's just a great example of young entrepreneurship. It was a pleasure to have her. But the pod, I think, has been listened to around about 15,000 times already. So if you want to have a listen and you want to plug into regular, I've just done one with a lady called Julie Hawke at MBE, which will be out again in a few weeks. And there's some really cool stuff on there. So I hope that encourages you if you want to have a listen. But thank you for having me. If you're on LinkedIn or Instagram, find me on LinkedIn, just Google James Fort, Boost Your Business, or find me on Instagram and follow me. I'll follow you back. And if you've got any questions down the line, my door is open. If I can help encourage you or support you in any way, shape, or form on your journey, go for it. I don't think there's ever been a more exciting time to be a student, to be alive, to be in the current world that we're in, with all the opportunities that are ahead of you. But my challenge to you is to go for it. Your potential is huge. And if you apply having a growth mindset, you can go to levels you never even thought of. Thank you for having me. Go for it.
So I really love the bit in the speaking Roger Federer that you showed us. He talks about it's a waste of energy. You can be really negative about it, but it's a waste of energy. Channel that energy into something
Yeah.
pushes forward, that takes you forward. And it's something that I've done a lot of sort of mindset work myself over the years with a coach, and it's something that I've tried to really work on. It's I could stop around and feel really pissed off about something, or I can take that forward and channel that energy elsewhere. Do you have any kind of practical tips on how to turn that energy around? Because we all get days where you're just feeling really hacked off, stuck. What am I meant to do with this?
Yeah.
How do you turn that around if you have a moment like that?
That's a really good question. I think self-awareness is huge. I think in that moment, if you can catch yourself and you can think, right, I just need to maybe walk away from this for a minute, pause, come back to it, lay it down. And then I think you come back to it with a different energy. I think you can come back to it with a different mindset. I think it's knowing about who you are. I can have the tendency to get quite frustrated with things, and I don't lose my cool, but I will just think, there's no point.
Yeah.
So I think walking away and coming back, knowing your triggers, we're all triggered differently.
Yeah.
Some people are able to just see the positive immediately or see a way out of it. For me, it's just, and maybe get another opinion, asking someone else what they think too.
Having that sounding board.
Sounding board, sharing it, getting it off your chest. Maybe make some notes about how you feel at the time. I amended some of this presentation to come back differently. So that's what I would do, and keep those notes and come back to them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Right, is people still online, or do we dial off now? Yeah, that's a good idea. Be nice to get a little picture of our group. I know